Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Dr. Mark Snukas. Mark is an expert, a guru in really kind of helping entrepreneurs design and execute better strategies. And so we're going to be talking about how companies are thinking about corporate strategy, business strategy, management strategy, leadership strategy, and probably the biggest one, which is maybe accelerated transformation, which is happening now for many companies. Mark, tell me a little bit about you and your career.
Sure. So I've been a consultant for 20 plus years by now. So I actually went self-employed, independent right after my business school studies, first helping executive learn about strategy. So I would kind of teach all the stuff that I heard about in business school. And then from there, I wanted to be more engaged and go more into the depth of how organizations work. So I started doing change management, implementing strategy, if you like. And from there, then went on to helping executives, starting to help executives develop and design better strategies, because very often when you have problems or the implementation of a strategy is not working that well, it's due to the strategy being not a good strategy in the first place. So went a little bit into that. And then also in the context of better strategy, always the question came up, how can we be more innovative? How can we, at the time, was very famous to talk about how can we reinvent our business model? So that's where I got my PhD in from Manchester Business School. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing since 20 years now.
That's amazing. And clearly the fact that you've been doing it for such a long period of time, you have a great perspective on these topics. Now, I mean, some of the things that you've talked about is obviously shaping that strategy, driving strategic innovation. And one thing that really caught my eye is that you talk about lasting transformation. It's something that I feel like I see a lot. Everyone wants to transform and be better, but a lot of times it's just not sticky. So I'd just be curious to hear how you help companies make it be sticky and last.
Right. Well, I think that one of the big issues is that very often leaders, they are afraid of really tackling the big stuff, let's say. So you might have, you introduce new programs, you want to change the ways of working, but then you're not brave enough to go and change the organizational structure, for example. I remember one case, we were working with a client, a German manufacturing company, actually working with them in China. And it was about improving the efficiency of all the administrative processes like finance, procurement, all of that. Right? And one of the key issues was that you had all these silos and nobody was really responsible for what happens once I have done my job. Right? So I might finish something, I just throw it over the fence, and then either it's good enough for the next in line or not. And if it's not good enough for the next in line, then they probably have it lying around and they don't care anymore, right? Because they blame each other. So we worked on everything. We did training and we optimized these processes and we clarified the relationship. And we always kept on saying a key thing that needs to happen is you need to reorganize. You need at least to put somebody in charge who has the end-to-end responsibility for making these processes work better. And management never went there. So they were always afraid of doing that structural change. So I think that's one of the key reasons very often transformation doesn't work, because people are afraid of doing these structural changes. Now, when I work with executives on strategy, then we always think about, so what does this mean to the organization? So if you were to successfully implement that strategy, what does it mean for your ways of organizing, your ways of working, your ways of leading? And we really decompose that, looking into all the details and really defining in the first place, what are all the changes necessary to make it successful?
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. And it's a tricky one for businesses, right? Because they want to have people manage those silos and they want people to be accountable for what happens in those silos. And it's sometimes hard to figure out a way to reward those integrators, but they're obviously critical to make that happen across the business. Well, let me ask you kind of a broader question, Mark. We're in interesting times these days, and you work across many different business verticals. When you sit down with leaders, some of your customers, what's top of mind for them right now?
Well, so they come to me because they want to have a better strategy. So that means that either their strategy is not working, or so they say we need to reboot it, we need to review it. Maybe they don't have a strategy. Some don't have a strategy in the first place, and then the organization is kind of all over the place, which usually says that they have many or too many priorities. Everything is a priority, and then nothing is a priority because they don't have that clear strategy. They haven't made the clear choices what they should be doing or what they should be focusing on. So I think that's one key thing that's really across all the organizations, is that too many priorities. Another challenge that many have is talent. So that's something that keeps on coming back. So we work a lot on employee experience, you might call it. How can we improve that? What's our employee strategy, if you like? So how are we going to be attractive to employees? So I really think that's the two key issues that I'm currently seeing.
Yeah, no, I mean, talent has been a real challenge for these days. I was on a long phone conversation this morning with a group that has a product that does language learning. And they're very worried that machine learning is going to replace all of them, and they don't have any knowledge about any machine learning. So how to hire talent that knows about that space.
Yeah, so building up these skills and also the new capabilities. If everybody wants to be agile, faster, more adaptive, and all these things, but then they lack the critical skills and capabilities, and it's a matter of finding.
So listen, Mark, let me change the kind of gears a little bit here. You've been a consultant for a long time. I mean, clearly before you went out and built your own solution, you were at Deloitte as well. I mean, what keeps the passion going for consulting?
Well, I just like help to help people and executives. So if we you can see when you're working together on a strategy, and then there's always these difficult moments where you have to make a decision, or where stuff is confusing and you have to make up your mind. And just helping leaders through that, and then seeing how relieved they really are once kind of the light bulbs goes off, and they say, yeah, now we got something, and we have clarity about what we need to do. We are confident that this is going to work. So that's really just what keeps me going. And then on the other hand, something that I've always been passionate about is finding new ways of doing stuff. So this whole idea of strategic innovation, helping companies to bring new ways of doing strategy to the executive team, which helps them to be better leaders, create better strategies, and create better businesses at the end of the day. Businesses that perform better, that have a greater impact, and that are also a better place to work.
I find it really interesting. Strategy has always been an area that I've gravitated to, but it's fascinating because we live in these moments, especially I'd say now in our lifetime, where there's so many things happening with the economy, and here we are coming out of the pandemic. How do you keep that balance between what I guess I'd say is almost like a true north, true north in terms of strategy, and being kind of actioning for the moment, making sure that you kind of read these short-term issues at the same time?
Well, so I think there is a couple of shifts that you have to make in how you approach strategy. For example, you need to go away from setting these lofty financial targets for the next 3-5 years and having the detailed plans, to really focus on what are the current challenges you're facing right now, and what are the highest value opportunities that you see right now. So this is really an idea that goes back to Richard Ronald, wrote a book, Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, some 10 years ago, and he was the first to introduce this idea of challenge-based strategy into the discussion. And that's really what I've been doing for 20 years, because when people come to a consultant, they have some challenges that need to be fixed. And it happens on occasion, but usually people don't come and they say, I need to think about where to take my company in the next 10 years. They have stuff right now. Sales are going away right now, margins are shrinking, customers are unhappy, they don't find the people they need. So they need to solve these challenges now. So one of the things to deal with that is you need to think a little bit about, where do I want to take the company? What are my ambitions for the next 5 years, maybe 10 years? So kind of like zoom out, but then you really zoom back in and you think about, so what does that mean for today? What do I need to be doing today to solve the challenges we have now, to kind of take the next steps, and also maybe have some initiatives and say, okay, well, what do I need to do now so that I can be prepared for what type of company I want to have in 3 years or in 5 years, for example. So it's really that balance of having the more short-term thing, but also thinking more longer term. So if you take a company like I've done a lot of work with BMW, also on the automotive side, they really think about the stuff they have to do now. So they keep on innovating around their existing products. Then they went into the next kind of the future of mobility with all the electric vehicles, but at the same time, they are thinking about what if at some point no more cars are allowed in big cities? What does that mean for us? And how can we still be in a transportation or mobility kind of market or industry? And yeah, how can we be active there? So working on these things in parallel, if you know.
Wow, that's amazing. So look, Mark, we've been in an interesting cycle, as we talked about, just business wise. And this year started out with a lot of stresses in terms of the economy. What's your thought for the rest of 2023, and what's on the docket for you and your customers?
Yeah, so I think you have to prepare. I guess that it looks like the inflation or rate increases, at least interest rate increases, are kind of leveling off. It seems like it's going to be stable. So let's see whether we really have we're going to have a recession or not. I think that's still a little bit in the stars whether that's going to happen or not. On the other hand, I see that lots of companies, they have adjusted. So they have adjusted to the global supply chain issues. They have adjusted to all the shortages and the stuff because of the Ukraine war. So I think that's going back to a little bit of some normal. And so we try to just work again on the key issues that they are facing right now. And as I said, I think the key issues that I'm seeing is much more around what can we do now? What are the problems we have to try to tackle now? What are the opportunities we see? And they don't tend to think too much about all these longer term economic stuff that might happen or might not happen.
Yeah.
So kind of focus on your business and try to get that right.
Yeah, and find that balance, really, I guess. But Mark, it's been amazing talking with you. If someone was interested in learning more about what you and your team deliver in terms of coaching, mentorship, facilitation, and really kind of outlining that strategic solutions and supporting strategically for businesses, where's the best place to reach you?
Well, there's two places really. So LinkedIn, so you can go to LinkedIn. If you go linkedin.com/in/Snookers, so that's SNIUKAS, you find my profile and you find lots of stuff there, or on my website, which is snookers.com. So SNIUKAS.com. There too, you find lots of free stuff. Something interesting maybe is the Saturday Strategist. So it's a newsletter that I'm running. So every Saturday you get one email. It takes about a minute to read with some actionable insight about designing and executing better strategies.
Oh, I love that. Well, I mean, I think we all need to read that for sure. Well, listen, Mark, it's been great speaking with you today. We've been speaking with Dr. Mark Snookes. He is a strategy advisor. He helps leaders shape strategy, deliver strategic innovation, and create lasting transformation, all in the service of building better businesses that perform better, have greater impact, and are more human places. Dr. Mark Snookes. Mark, it's been great having you on the show. We look forward to having you back.
Thanks, Bant. Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you.